Exodus 4. Let's read verses 12. Well, we'll read verses 11 through 16 at least. The Lord said to him, that's to Moses, who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Morally bankrupt representation for the divine name there. When we say Lord, when we read Lord, unless there might be like, sometimes there's capital L, lowercase O-R-D, and it may not be Lord in the NIV, but usually with NIV, you can, when it says capital L-O-R-D, that's where they failed to follow the Bible. Is it not I, excuse me, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak and will teach you what to say. Isn't that interesting? What do you guys think about that? I will help you speak and I will teach you what to say. Is anyone confused by that? What that means? And remember, this is the angel from Exodus 3. As we've seen conclusively, especially if you watch my Angels of Jah and Zechariah series, or my 10-plus hour total annihilation of Sam's part 2 in our current series on Michael, Jude, and the Angel of Jah. Right. We know that in spite of the fact that angels speak as God, right, and Sam does not understand what I mean by that. We saw that oh so clear in my 10-plus hour annihilation video, separate clip coming up, right? Now remember, he's not going to learn that. He's going to continue to not understand what I mean. And by that I mean, he's going to keep saying I mean something I don't mean. You know what he means? That when I say the angels speak as or for God, Yahweh, that means they are Yahweh, right? We heard him say that numerous times. All he does is misrepresent my argument to be evidence of his conclusion, right? That's what he does. Oh yeah, it gets so weird and wild with him. But we are very happy to be able to point this out for the benefit of people alive today and for future generations who want to realize or get insight into some of our more insane blasphemers in the history of Christian groups. Like, what was wrong with these people, right? Like people who believe in flat earth today, the same thing. They're going to be a whole like future generation come along and say, hey, were there really people who were this gone, right? So we already know very clearly Zechariah 2, right? Sam totally ignores it, totally breaks down and lies about the Bible and says repeatedly, right? We heard him, 10-plus hour bomb video and elsewhere, that there's only one angel. And we saw so clearly how the Bible spoke of another angel who came. It's not even the angel he thinks it is in Zechariah 3. He's gone. I pointed all of this out almost a year ago in my Zechariah series. He's just a liar. This is not an honest person. He's misrepresenting everything. Even when he's made aware of it again, he'll just keep doing it. We saw the same thing in Zechariah 3. It's the same angel from Zechariah 2, right? Comes to speak to the angel of the Lord, brings words that angel didn't have from the Lord, starts speaking as the Lord, Yahweh, and then breaks away while doing so to make it clear, this shows that Yahweh has sent me to you. So that's why Sam doesn't bring it up. He's a pervert. He doesn't want you to see the evidence, or if he does, right, he's going to distort it. Like with Lady True, she very clearly asked him a question relative to our current discussion about the angel of the Lord, which he says is Yahweh, uncreated angel. And then she asks him, well, where's Jesus, the angel of Yahweh? And pervert Sam says, okay, I'm going to show you that. Oh, he said, it's a created angel. It's not God. Right? He's a liar. He's deceptive. He's clever. That's not accidental. He's sometimes he seems a little dumb, and it's not as dumb as you think. Okay? Think of the devil. They're not as dumb as you think. In fact, they're a lot smarter. But we are not dumb either, are we? So we are the ones who are genuine humans and not perv, right? We're the ones trying to actually represent the truth, not liars. So we've shown all these things very clearly, and he just keeps lying about them. So when I say the angel of Exodus 3 is speaking here, it is. You watch the prior shows, we're just moving right into the next chapter. Nothing has changed. That angel is also explicitly identified as an angel in Exodus 3, appearing as a flame of fire in the bush. Same with Acts 7. It's made explicit in the same way and goes on to have that angel talk as the Lord, just like we saw in Zechariah 3. There's nothing different here. There's nothing special about that. That's what they all do. 2 Peter 2:11, 10 plus hour bomb, showed you, separate clip coming up. Angels bring messages from the Lord and don't rebuke celestial beings like Satan. That's why Michael and the angel of the Lord said the same thing and didn't rebuke Satan, meaning that someone else is the Lord. And that's what Sam and his followers continue to ignore, right? As we saw, all they do is try to show other verses that use the same verb, and then claim that it's identifying them as the same person and attempt to use that as evidence against my argument that the angel of Jah in Zechariah and Michael and Jude are the same person, right? They actually end up providing evidence that supports our conclusion, but they're banking on the fact that we don't believe they're the same person so that we won't see that for the angel of Jah and Michael and Jude. But they're stupid because they don't look at the actual verbs used, right? They look at verbs like calling, which are still the same. It doesn't change anything. That doesn't allow us to make the same kind of identification in terms of differentiation between the people who say, may the Lord rebuke you, and the Lord. No, you guys are just stupid liars and perverts. So we have to keep just breaking it down to the base level of communication, and you still either ignore it, lie about it, or get it wrong. So this angel is speaking as the Lord. It is an angel. Any non-idiot knows this. Moses said after the Lord through the angel that it's speaking as, right? And again, he's an idiot in terms of what that means. He just reinterprets it according to what he means and claims that's what I mean, when we all know that's not true. Watch 10 plus hour bomb. Total destruction for you know who. Verse 14, then the Lord's anger, then Yahweh's anger burned against Moses. See, there's a righteous indignation sometimes, and this, while certainly understandable because the Lord has accomplished so much through people who aren't appreciating him. Just think of what these beings think when they have to deal with blasphemers and liars. Well, we already saw how Michael and the angel of the Lord obviously weren't pleased with the devil, right? And that's why they wanted the Lord to rebuke him. So we can understand why these things happen. Right? That's why we get examples in the Bible. We get Paul going up to Peter and condemning him right in his face. He was perving out over race. Of course, you say that to Catholics because of their view of Peter, they freak out. Right? But we're not here for their faith. We're here for the Bible. And we're not here for these pervert groups. They want to keep doing what they want to do. We treat them normally. We're not here to hate on anyone. We're not going to accept your false doctrine. And if you're associated with a known blasphemer and pervert, we're going to take a special interest in making sure that you get destroyed and can't represent a pervert who lies about the Bible and who defames people regularly, condemns them and their mothers, gets in our way of being normal with other religions. No, that's different. What about your brother Aaron, the Levite, right? Ya'ol. Yeah, because Moses said, pardon, send someone else. He doesn't feel qualified, as we know. What about your brother Aaron, the Levite? Ya'ol says, I know he can speak well. He's already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth, and I will help both of you speak and will teach you what to do. Verse 16, he will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth, and as if you were God to him. So let's just take a moment and reflect on that for a moment. We'll take a moment to reflect for a moment. Unnecessary repetition, my apologies. Just reflect for a moment. Let me check the chat real quick while you do that. Right? I want to make sure you have a chance to kind of just absorb those two verses in particular. Feel free to comment about anything else that jumps out at you. But those two in particular, I'm going to use a verse from the New Testament to show you that basically they're talking about the same thing. This is so easy to see. You have to be blind as a perverted bat not to see it. So we had to delete someone who did a super chat because we don't tolerate interruptions of live stream for diverting on attention onto a pervert. So, Junior, unfortunately, that was the wrong question to highlight because I'm trying to focus on the Bible. And even though I bring it up, Sam, that's my right. I'm directly engaged with him and I don't know you. So for you to do exactly what I talked about at the opening of this show and try to get involved in something that doesn't directly involve you shows that you need to take a break and get yourself together. Now, anyone who follows this channel or who listened earlier, I literally brought this up and pointed out he's already chickened out. Documented, okay? You guys are just, it's over for you. If you're around Sam, you're going to get humiliated. He's humiliated himself. You don't think he'll humiliate you? Of course he will. He doesn't even care about himself. You guys are stupid. You're picking the wrong side. But most people die, so unfortunately. Either way, see what you've made me kind of divert off instead of just speak of things as I am in the context of my involvement with Sam. That's okay if I want to do that. So don't ever do that, especially when I've already talked about you not doing it and everyone knows I offered Sam and he refused. Then we had a deal. He broke that deal and perved out. So your whole side has been destroyed. Okay? I've not only done everything you're challenging me to do or asking me to do, I've patiently gone through and let Sam speak. Well, something that wouldn't happen in a live debate. I guarantee you. Did you hear what I said earlier about Bob and Sam? That's totally different. Neither one of those people would be able to handle a formal debate without breaking down. Their style is to break down and lie, and it would just be so pathetic. He would get so frustrated so fast. Aren't you watching these videos? Are you that stupid? Anyone who watches these videos, and Sam's going out of his way, right? He's doing competing live streams, right? Pathetic. He's staying up into the wee hours of the morning to compete with me. Pathetic. He's making light of the master's number to try to denigrate me. Pathetic, right? So you guys know you're not fooling anyone by just repeating the lies we've already disproven and made you guys look pathetic over. He's now getting systematically destroyed. That will continue until the end. So what is your complaint? I'm letting Sam speak. He's being destroyed. Better than any debate I guarantee he could handle. And for more time than he could even begin to imagine, right? We can't even get him to watch a video, George. It's an embarrassment. Or Junior. He's literally asking me to debate Sam in light of everything I just said. And Sam won't even watch a video. How am I going to debate someone who won't even listen to my arguments and position? He's going to listen to someone else tell him it? Right, because he doesn't care. He's going to lie anyway. You guys are perverts. If you're that stupid that you keep falling for Sam's bravado and lies, no one can help you. It's so obvious that unless you are spiritually blind or you're compromised by the dragon, right? Your friends, your family, everything, right? You've grown up with all these images of Mary, all these statues, right? You're just so used to these pagan traditions and lies. You're just not going to be able to give that up. I understand. Well, we don't care. That's not what we're here for. So if you're not here for the truth, we're not going to give you much credibility, right? You're with Sam, right? He doesn't care about the truth. We're proving that very clearly. So, yeah, Junior, terrible move. I gave you time anyway, since you super chatted. You gave me $6.99. Thank you. I just explained to you everything that relates to this whole debate issue. I did my part completely. Engaged him, emails, videos, everything. I went to his comments. I've done everything. He is a liar and a betrayer and not someone with integrity. The very fact that you or anyone would want to promote someone like that shows you guys are pathetic, right? He's not only been destroyed and would be totally wiped out. If Sam and I actually had a controlled debate, like if someone put like a sock in his mouth while I was talking and then, timed him and then put the sock back in when his time was up, that'd be the only way to probably work, or a substitute for the sock maybe, but it would be an annihilation. Are you seeing how many mistakes he's making? Right? What do you think would happen? He would get so angry too, right? He would think he'd have things like the Exodus 23 thing that he totally blew. Separate clip coming on that. Total destruction video, 10 plus hour, gone. See, Junior, he would do that. And he would just walk right in. I would set him up easily. Sam's easy to set up. He's a pervert. And his aggression, right? His aggression would kill him in a debate. So you guys just don't know what you're talking about. I think you guys, a lot of you just want to see a show because you're perverts and you don't really care about Christianity, right? You're kind of like the whole football Christians. And while it's not wrong to watch or play football, then, you get in the whole competitive environment. You perverts, you get in your whole just big, you start painting your faces and wearing jerseys. So you guys are used to kind of expressing your belief in a very non-Christian competitive way that creates these, fights when they're not even necessary, right? It's like, where did Jesus have to refight Satan after he survived the temptations, right? As we saw in the 10 plus hour bomb, Sam totally blew that account, right? Totally destroyed him with the parallel account, right? Wasn't that great? And said he might come back for another time, but if it's clear, it's clear. So I realize Sam has his little fan base of perverts and he lies, and so a lot of people are going to believe him. So they might not be perverts, but they only know what they've heard from the mega perv. So we have to be a little understanding. But Junior's been here more than just once. I think I saw him perving out the other day. Either way, I spoke about this before he posted that super chat. So unacceptable, Junior. Failure on your part. All right, so let's now look. You see that though, right? Before Junior perved out. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. This is the angel of the Lord talking. But it says the Lord, but it goes to Exodus 3 again. We covered. I will help both of you speak and teach you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth and as if you were God to him. All right. So as we know, Trinitarians regularly perv out over this, but it's not like a verse that comes up a lot. Let's take a look at a parallel text, I believe, at least in terms of the content. Before we continue with our reading of text from Exodus 4 through 12, let's go to John. All right, so you saw that text from Exodus 4. Angel of the Lord, Yahweh is going to teach Moses and Aaron what to say. Aaron's going to be a mouth for Moses, and Moses is going to be as God to him, right? Real, straightforward. You don't have to perv out, invent a whole new doctrine just to figure it out, right? So stupid. Or just perv, right? And when I say stupid, I mean you're making the wrong choice. You may not be dumb, right? You may not be mentally dumb. You may just be making bad decisions. That's often what Proverbs is talking about. People who are stupid make terrible decisions. They do stupid things, right? And people get all bothered by that. And it's like, look, that's probably because you're stupid or you're making bad decisions and you're just getting upset when people bring it to your mind. It's like with Sam, right? You bring up any of these texts. I didn't even bring up all of them, right? Like 1 Chronicles 21, that was another one. Sam got totally destroyed. He actually revealed to us, I have a collection of accounts I was going to bring up at some point, but he made me very aware of all those details that show even as clearly or more clearly than Zechariah 1, 2, 3, right? That in terms of the angel and the identity between it and God, right? So let me show you here before we go back to that. We'll cover that more in just a second. But since I have this up and we're dealing with Exodus, let me finish this. So you saw those texts from Exodus. Just real quick, since I was kind of about to go into another subject real quick, this is the part I'm going to try to show you is very similar, right? So if me and Sam are right, this is Jesus talking right here. right, to Moses, and pretty much all throughout, especially Sam views that, because he says there's only one angel that does that. Total defiance of the text, per vow. All right, so it's the angel of the Lord here. Pretty much everyone agrees with that. We just disagree on whether or not it's a created or uncreated angel. The only category of angel the Bible talks about is a created category. So once again, like with 1 Corinthians 8:6 and everything else, our beliefs are directly in the Bible. Theirs are not. They have to be interpreted based on their failure to recognize what it means to speak as or for Yahweh. So they totally break down there and say it has to be Yahweh, so therefore it's an uncreated angel. No, you can't interpret the Bible. You assume your doctrine, and so that's all that happens. And you're just begging the question and reading the Bible and not your doctrine. We read the Bible, and that's our doctrine. So you see right here, Exodus 4, right? 15, 16. So the angel of Jah, Jesus in his pre-human state, whether you believe in Trinity or not, whether you're an angel worshiper or not, everyone would agree this language, that the angel of the Lord knows this language, right? This is like his words, or Yahweh's words that he wants the angel to say. All right, so let's go back now to John 12. If me and Sam are right, and pretty much all Trinitarians, I guess, although not all would necessarily identify Jesus as the angel of the Lord there. Some, even though their doctrine teaches that, they don't believe that. They can't handle it. This is why we get so many Trinitarians trying to argue with us about Jesus being an angel. But Sam has kind of moved on because he's perving out. He's still trying to say there's this difference, though, right? Which there isn't. We've proven that between created and uncreated angel. So he'll still argue with you about that. He won't let you believe that he's just an angel. By just an angel, they, of course, mean created. They think that's like bad, even though it's not bad, according to the Bible, unless you sin. So they're just liars. They create, again, another standard for acceptance or orthodoxy that the Bible doesn't support. So right here in John 12, right, paralleling this, we all pretty much agree the exact same person is speaking here, that's speaking either as God or as the angel of the Lord in Exodus 4, right? Of course, most people accept the angel of the Lord speaking there, and then the question is, again, what you mean by as God, right? As a person of the Trinity, or just he's speaking the words that God wants him to speak. I talked a lot about this in the 10-plus hour bomb video. You got to watch that. All of them, the first one too, right? This is going perfectly, so we want to keep this up, right? Listen to Jesus, verse 47. If anyone hears my words, but does not keep them, I do not judge that person, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. There is a judge for the one who rejects me and does not accept my words. Okay, so he calls them my words here, right? But like we know in Exodus 4, the verses we're comparing this with, where do the words come from? They ultimately come from God, Jah, and then the angel speaks those words, right? So we've shown conclusively that the angel can directly speak as God, first person, and then move out from speaking that way to as the angel. But for the word, saying the same things that he's approved to say, because that's what they do, like we're reading about right here. So Jesus, he calls them my words, right? When he's saying, if you reject me and don't accept my words, that it's not me that's going to judge you. He says in the rest of verse 48, the very words I have spoken will condemn them at the last day. Now, why is that? Right? We know he's coming on the last day, right? Jesus' second coming. Everybody believes that. There's differences on the timing and all that, but right? Christians believe the last day is basically the time when he returns. You could, there's either that or the end of the millennium, the potential application. So he's talking about his words being the basis for condemnation on the last day. Verse 49, for I did not speak on my own. Okay, but he said they're his words, my words, right? Just like we saw in, of course, the 10 plus hour annihilation video, Exodus 23, God says that it's his words, right? My words, his name and his words. And then the angel starts speaking those words to the people that God told the people to listen to. So the angel is clearly speaking, we'll talk about this more in other videos in this series, clearly speaking the words that God is telling it to speak. Exactly like right here. And exactly like in Exodus 4 that we were just reading. But look, there's even more here. He says, for I didn't speak of my own. The Father who sent me. That's how you know Yahweh. He's Yahweh. The Father, the one God. He's the one sending all these angels. He's the one sending his Son. It's the Father, everyone. It's the Father who sent me. He commanded me. He commanded me to say all that I have spoken. I don't know how you could possibly get more angelic than this. This is by function we're talking about, right? Which is what Sam completely confuses, but it hurts him here more, right? Because this is something the Father never does. Never, right? He's crazy. We know he's going bananas with the whole Father praying. We're going to get to that too, right? I already did that before, but oh yeah. So we know he's got but see, that's because Sam is more aware of these very clear destruction verses, right? So Sam goes out of his way to come up with this really weird and confusing response that totally makes people just forget the whole issue, right? Because it's so confusing. That's what they do. That's their tactic. They just can't read the text and be like, oh yeah, that's so obvious, right? And just obviously someone representing the Father as an angel here. In this case, a human angel, his Son. In the Old Testament, spirit angels. That's what they do. Whether you're human or spirit, you're speaking the words of the Father, God, the one God. Verse 50, I know that his command leads to eternal life. So whatever I say is just what the Father has told me to say. Hey, pervert Sam, why wouldn't Jesus just give his own commands here, right? Like the angel of the Lord, if you think that's Yahweh speaking directly as Yahweh, which is a misrepresentation of the whole speaking as for in my videos, you're gone, right? Yeah, no. So why does Jesus say his command leads to eternal life? So whatever I say is just what the Father told me. Why wouldn't he be saying, well, my command leads to eternal life? And that's why I'm telling it to you. Why does it have to be the Father? If that's the same command, you want to know why, you pervert? Because he didn't hear it until the Father told him. I'm going to prove that right now too. Well, it says right here, whatever I say is just what the Father told me. So why would he have to be told by the Father, you pervert? Because the same reason the angels in Zechariah and everywhere else in the Old Testament have to be told what to say. They're angels, you little angel worshiping pervert. It's so obvious and basic, isn't it? The Father is telling them. You know how the angel in Zechariah 1, 12-14, the verse that you've been just scared to death of, one of many. The angel there, whom you lie about and claim is a person of the Trinity, omniscient, co-equal with the Father, has to go and pray to the Father to get words he doesn't know and then bring those words to someone who doesn't know them either. Right. Yeah, because the Father, the one he's praying to, tells him what to say. We all read it. It's so obvious, except to, you and other pervs. Right here, it's the same thing. There's no difference at any time, before, during, or after. Revelation 1:1. This game is over. The lights are out. Everyone's home. It was such a blow. I was kind of disappointing. A lot of people left early because of just the total collapse of the Shamounian cult side. Catholics, Eastern Orthodox, just full-blown meltdown. Lead apologists gone, right? Videos eradicated, just shredded to pieces and then blown out, burned up outside the camp. It's just over, everybody. So understand, all of these angels, these sons of God, have to learn from the Father. Everything they're going to say, Zechariah 1, 12-14, Zechariah 2, Zechariah 3, all of it. This is the same one as that one? Right. So they all have to learn from the Father because only the Father knows. Like Jesus says, even about his own return date. Yeah, only the Father, pervert. Okay, so let's go back to Exodus 4. And finish our Exodus related text. So that's one. Oh, you're just there. That's one text where, well, the NIV, the whole thing, where the references in the account or the language used, especially since everybody pretty much agrees they're the same being there in Exodus 4 and in John 12. In the first one, he's just not a man. In the second one, he's lower than the one he's in the first one, Hebrews 2:9. A man. He's still an angel, though, right? He's still functioning that way. And that's why it's the exact same thing. He's not God. He's pervert to lying. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at Exodus 4:28. We'll read 27. The Lord said to Aaron, go into the wilderness. Oh, let me read it up. The Lord, Yahweh, said to Aaron, go into the wilderness to meet Moses. So he met Moses at the mountain of God and kissed him. And no homo here, you pervs. It's a holy kiss, just respectful type. He happens to say, yeah, no, you're a perv. Then Moses told Aaron everything the Lord had commanded him to say, and also about the signs he had commanded him to perform. And that's also, I think, very similar, right? Because remember, Aaron is what, everybody? Remember what we read up here? Aaron is Moses' mouth, right? He's going to speak to the people for Moses. And Moses is going to be as God to him. So then, in verse 28, it says, Moses, he's being God to Pharaoh in this way, told Aaron everything Yahweh had sent him to say. So right there, the further refutation of these perverts, we just read that Moses is serving as God here, did we not? It's right here. He's acting as God to Aaron, to him. Okay, but even in so doing, you pervert, Moses is telling Aaron Yahweh's words. So that proves right there, if Moses can be God, speaking as God to someone, and it very, very clearly is the words from the one who really is God, and he's just acting as God, what don't you perverts understand? We literally just saw the same thing in Exodus 3 in part 1. We're seeing this very thing all throughout the Bible, including the New Testament in John 12 we just saw. So the one who is acting as God to people and speaking Yahweh's words is not God. This is the functional representation we see everywhere. Whether you're a spirit angel or a human angel, you serve as God to other people by telling them Yahweh's words, which is why Jesus is clearly in the Archangel Revelation 1:1. He's telling the other angels God's words he just received. It's over. There is no Trinity. Everything is very clearly presented to us in terms of how this works and how the one who is acting as God to others by speaking Yahweh's words is not to be considered Yahweh, either as a man or as an angel. They're angels, you perverts. They're created spirits or humans. There's no other category. You're liars. We've proven you're liars in multiple texts. You even helped us with 1 Chronicles 21. That was one of the best texts, containing several pieces of evidence, right? Yahweh had to watch and then feel the emotion that motivated him to tell the angel to drop its hand. Right? The angel, if it was Yahweh, would know all of those things. It wouldn't need to wait and see. It's why it would know the same things. It would feel the same things. There wouldn't be any need for any of that. They're perverts. This is how it works, everyone. The one serving as God, in our case as Christians, Jesus is doing that. This should help a lot of you who have like a little trouble. You're still like struggling because of Watchtower and the Trinity, and it's like there's a bigger gap between your relationship with Jesus and ours. We're further along than that. Watchtower, I think, kind of helps maintain you guys in a. It keeps you from having the full relationship, and part of that also is you don't fully understand or embrace what it means to be God to someone. You kind of do. I know you guys understand this, but you need to be able to understand this with Jesus too, Watchtower people. If you can do it with Moses, there should be no reason you couldn't do it with Jesus. In John 20:20, it's a perfect example. That's the exact same thing we're seeing in all these texts. These perverts have just been hiding all these other texts until recently because they know I'm using them and Sam's insecure about it all. And a lot of them believe in this angel worship, right? This is the same thing. That's why in John 20:17, he explicitly tells them his God and our God are the exact same. The Father. That's exactly what he's doing. Him more than anyone. And they even believe it's the same one back here. He's doing this. That the angel is telling Moses to do to Aaron what the angel is doing to Moses. Acting as God to him. Telling him Yahweh's words. The Trinitarians can't figure it out because their false doctrine blocks them. They're like this. They can't see it. It's like Trinity. So until they remove the block, they're not going to be able to read the Bible clearly. They're reading something over the Bible. Their doctrine, that's not in the Bible. So when Moses is acting as God, like we just read about, the angel of Yahweh knows about, uses the exact same type of words that Jesus also knows about as the same angel, and speaks in John 12, 40 through 50. Moses acting as God to Aaron as a human means to tell Aaron everything the Lord had him to say. So there should be no confusion about angels acting the exact same way. The Father doesn't do that because he doesn't deliver messages from anyone else. He's the originator of everything he would ever care about telling someone else to deliver. So you've all missed it. You're all in the hands of the dragon, and his time is running out. I highly recommend you stop listening to spiritual perverts and rapists and follow the Bible. So, and also about all the signs he had commanded him to perform, right? Moses is telling Aaron about these things as God to him, communicating the words of the Lord. Yeah, just like the angel is, same thing, same relationship. Trinitarians can't see it. You can see it, I'm pretty sure, because we're just reading it, right? We don't have to perv out. All right, let's go to Exodus 6. Just a couple more texts here, everybody. We'll wrap it up. Partake. Oh, I got a Joshua 5 connection. It's going to blow your mind. You got to see it. Don't miss it. Let me just check the chat real quick here. Okay. Oh, it looks like you guys are doing okay. All right. So Exodus 6. Let's read verses from 28 to chapter 7-2. This is very similar to what we just read about how Moses serves as God to Aaron by telling him Yahweh's words, just like the angel of Yahweh and Jesus. Right? This is all the same. That's all they do. Right? And of course, except the Father, which proves, once again, he's not the same. He's not an angel. We don't worship angels. No. Exodus 6, I said near the end, just 28. So we'll read a couple verses, and then we'll go to Exodus 7. Right here, verse 28. Now when the Lord spoke to Moses in Egypt, he said to him, I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything I tell you. So again, we see this regular repeated relationship of repeating the other one's words. Verse 30, but Moses said to the Lord, since I speak with faltering lips, why would Pharaoh listen to me? Right. So he's continuing to have this insecurity, right? Not like Sam's insecurity. He can't even watch a video. Moses is at least right, like a man of courage. He's talking, he's not cowering away like a pervert. He's actually just being honest with the Lord and telling him, hey, I don't want to be a liar and blaspheme. So can you help me out? So let's go to chapter 7. Verse 1, we're just going to read verses 1 and 2, okay? Check this out. This is really good. Then the Lord said to Moses, see, I have made you like God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. Now listen, we just read, we can look at it again, Exodus 6, 28 through 30. It said the same thing you're going to read right here in verse 2, basically. You are to say, everything I command you. That's exactly the words Jesus used in John 12, 49 through 50. The Father gave him a command as to what to say. He's not speaking his own words because he knows the Father's command leads to eternal life, right? Which would be retarded if he was actually equivalent with the Father and his words meant the same thing and he didn't need the Father to tell him because he already knew. He has to be told. That right there is temporal. Right there, that shows they're not equal in knowledge. Just like Zechariah 1, 12 through 14, the pervert keeps ignoring. Right? He can't handle anything, not even a couple verses. So he says, you're to say everything I command you. And your brother Aaron is to tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go out of his country. So we see very, very clearly in the Old and the New Testament, the functional relationship between spirit angels and human angels and God. It's the same. There's just spirits who do it, flames of fire, and then there's humans who do it, who are flesh. Being God, in either case, whether the angel is acting as God like we see in Zechariah and in Genesis and even in Exodus from Exodus 3 to right here, it's the same thing. They only tell you the words of the Father, Yahweh, the one God. That's exactly why you see that angel going to the one God to get the words it doesn't know. And why another angel comes with words from Yahweh that the angel of the Lord didn't know. Because that angel's there to tell him. And then the angel breaks and explicitly says, you're going to know because I'm telling you the words of Yahweh as Yahweh, which is what speaking as Yahweh means, not what Sam thinks it means, which is just assuming his doctrine because he's a pervert. It's this right here. It's speaking his words. Just like it makes Moses God to Aaron. This is God, the angel of Yahweh, speaking God's words, telling everybody, listen, here's what it means. Speaking as God to someone else doesn't mean you're God. These perverts, if you've watched my 10 plus hour bomb destruction video, we replayed all of the great perverts' comments. He says it often, but there he says it so many times, it's perverted. Right? It's crazy. He constantly misrepresents what I say in the most ridiculous way. And he even got a commenter. He brought up the comment, right? To show his pathetic influence on people and how he's misleading them. Remember, the commenter said Greg's argument would be the equivalent of God telling Satan that God's going to rebuke him. No, you perverts, it's the angel speaking the words of God. And it doesn't always have to be from the first person. We saw that from Zechariah. We have seen that. We saw that in Revelation 22. And we've seen it also in these other accounts. In Genesis, we saw it several times.